The Soldier, Part 2. I lie there, middle of the forest, not even really seeing the dueling lightning flashing above the trees, not really feeling the drenching rain that continues to pour down. A voice cuts through my head. I'm so tired. I just want to lay here. I want to ignore it. Michael, you must listen. There isn't time. Go away. Just go away. Just let me lay here and I want to ignore it. Michael, you must listen. There isn't much time. Go away. It's just a voice inside of my head. Leave me alone. Events are in motion. The storm is only the beginning. They sent it for you. They hoped it would kill you. They know you have a role, but they can't know how important you are. They wouldn't have stopped here. They? Who? What are you? Quiet. There's no time. We have to... Wait. Oh no. Michael, you have to get up. You have to get up and get the hell out of here right now. It's coming. My eyes flutter open. I'm disoriented. I can't tell how long I've been out. The storm still thrashes crazily around me. I ease myself into a sitting position and gingerly assess myself for injuries. Large lump raised above my left eyebrow. Sizable gash running along my scalp. And one doesn't seem too deep. I won't be able to tell if it needs stitches until I can get to a mirror. A sharp stab of pain beams directly into my brain as fingers probe the wound, so I quickly stop that. Various cuts and scratches from my fall are spread sporadically over my arms and hands, and a particularly nasty one along my left shin. My shoulder still throbs, but it's not the blinding agony that sent me sprawling earlier. A dull ache is emanating from deep inside the tissue. Was I struck by lightning? I don't remember hearing any thunder, so... What the hell? My head snaps up as a deep, inhuman roar rises above the fury of the storm, reverberating among the trees. The ache in my shoulder flares up sharply. I suddenly remember the words of that disembodied voice in my head. Still dazed, I uneasily stagger to my feet. Concussion-based hallucinations or not, getting the hell out of here seems like an excellent suggestion. I manage to find the path and haltingly begin to make my way back to the athletic facility. The storm continues unabated. Tubs of freezing rain continue to drench my already shivering body. Shearing winds carry the deep chill into my marrow. Lightning flashes periodically, lighting up the pitch-black sky as if it were midday. Dizzy, my foot hits a rock in the path. The whole world lurches as I'm barely able to manage to catch myself. The throbbing wound in my scalp is making my head feel like some type of abused bass drum. I stumble along as fast as I'm able to, occasionally pausing just to glance behind me. If they weren't soaked through, the hairs on the back of my neck would be standing at full attention. It's impossible to see or hear anything over the fury of the storm. Some primal senses held over from my caveman ancestors blares a warning on me that I'm not alone out here in the dark. That savage roar that I heard right after I woke up doesn't repeat itself, but I don't know if that disturbs me more or less. If I hear it again, that means whatever sound that was exists and is somewhere out here with me. But at least I would have some idea where. As it stands, I can only hope that that unworldly sound was just some other delusion brought on by my head injury. But I can't manage to shake that chilling feeling that the beast is simply remaining silent, that it's hunting me. At last, after what felt like an eternity of fleeting glances and barely avoiding falls, I emerge out of the woods along the path. The school stadium is laying before me. The electric lights of the gymnasium, several hundred yards down the paved walkway, burn cheerfully, oblivious to the violent events of the night. I urge my wooden legs to greater efforts and blessedly make it to my destination. Throwing open the door and stumbling inside, I sit there sprawled in the facility entryway. trembling from cold, from fear, just watching the storm rage outside. After what must have been several minutes, I managed to gather the will to, painfully, regain my feet and work my way through the building down the long corridor to the faculty locker room. The building is deserted. The silence was making the noise of my struggling movements seem that much more louder. For a moment, I wonder at the complete lack of people before remembering that virtually all sports practices are canceled in lieu of the impending vacation. Gaining access, I immediately moved to the row of sinks and mirrors just to get a better assessment of my injuries. The bump above my eye is considerably swollen and will soon into some very ugly bruising. On the plus side, the cut on my scalp is really more of a scrape and doesn't seem to require stitches. The cuts on my arms and hands and shin are all superficial, but they'll hurt and itch like crazy while they heal. Suddenly seeing past all the painful little details, I struggle to recognize the haggard, beaten figure, the one that was returning my stare from the glass. You've had worse. God knows you've had worse. That one time, that was a lot worse. I grimace, my reflection perfectly duplicating the motion. Turning on the faucet, I grabbed a handful of paper towels and began to carefully dab the dried blood and dirt around my cuts. I'm trying not to inadvertently open them again. Satisfied they'd closed up well enough to allow it, I strip off my sodden workout clothes and throw them in one of the dryers. I step into the shower. I set the water to approximately scalding. I stand under the streaming water, trying to rub the kinks out of my neck. The small throb in my shoulder reminds me of the incredible pain that first sent me into my current condition. Reluctantly turning off the shower head, I dry myself and wrap the towel around my waist. I return to the mirror. Although certainly cleaner and free of the caked dirt and blood that previously clung to me, still paint a pretty terrible picture. That cut on my scalp shines red just below my hairline, and that enormous purple bruise has now begun to complement the generous swelling above my eye. I turn my back to the mirror and move my head so I can observe my shoulder, right where the scars are located. 3 long marks extend the length of my shoulder blade. The lines are jagged due to the poor nature of the canvas that they were inscribed upon. Aside from the nightmares, they are the only proof I have of the reality of the most horrifying experience of my life, the terror and the bloodshed that occurred in that Middle East cave 3 years ago. Tonight those marks are inflamed and wet, like I had just received them. Instead of having worn them for so long, had I just not showered, I'm sure fresh blood would still be oozing out of them. Though all of my other cuts and scrapes are closed and dried at this point, as if listening to my thoughts, tiny little red beads began to slowly well up along the length as I watched it in the mirror. Without warning, the intense pain radiated outward from the center of the marks. At that moment, 2 things happened simultaneously. The first, all of the lights in the locker room go out, leaving me in absolute darkness. The second, I hear the unmistakable sound of the main entry door closing, and steps of somebody, or something, entering the building. The otherwise utter silence just serving to augment the noise. The emergency generator kicked on. Backup bulbs start humming to life, bathing the room in a weak amber glow. I run to my locker, hurriedly dressed, almost tripping myself on my pants, taking care to loosen the Glock in my holster once I have it strapped to my ankle. I throw my coat on, twinging at the pain that's now continuously radiating from the scars. I grab my valet. The whole process takes me about 30 seconds. A holdover from my years of uniform drills in the Army, where soldiers who didn't make the time limit were met with insidiously creative punishments. I crept silently over to the locker room door and gently eased it open, just a crack, feeling just slightly foolish. Odds are that the noise I heard was just a student or maybe a guard gave to scent out the facility. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that whatever is now occupying the athletic wing with me now is somehow connected to the bizarre events that have already occurred this evening. Its arrival and the loss of the power in the building seemed too timely to be mere coincidence. I peer out and down the dimly lit hallway through the slit in the door. At first, I don't see anything. Not until its eyes catch the light. Gleaming a sinister shade of red, my breath catches in my throat as a wave of pure terror thunders through me. My shoulder screams almost as badly as it did in the woods. My mind is struck numb. God. Oh my God, it's just like the last time. This has got to be a dream. This can't really be happening. I'm still unconscious on the trail from hitting my head. That's it. But this seems too real. What if it's not a dream? Then I have to move. I have to do something. Why the fuck does this keep happening to me? I'm only frozen for a single long moment until my brain unconsciously kicks into analysis mode. This feeling of unreality is disturbingly familiar. But other than the fantastic nature of my subject, it's not too different from some reconnaissance mission that I've been on. 20 yards down the hall. The creature standing there on 2 legs. It appears to be about 8 feet tall. Definitely not a student. Not a guard either, unless Gabe decided to try out some biomedical mutants in the rotation. Other than its immense size, I can't determine any further details about the entity, because of the way that shadows seem to bend around it, almost as if light is absorbed once it gets within about a yard of the creature. As I watch, it raises its head, sniffing the air. A chill runs down my spine. I realize that is probably exactly what it's doing. Its head snaps forward, its blood-red eyes fixed directly on the door concealing me. Ever so slowly, it begins silently stalking down the hallway, hunched into a hunting posture, moving with the most powerful grace of a natural predator. My fight or flight response frantically initiates. Logically, I have no knowledge of the identity of the creature, and my Glock only holds 7 bullets. Something that size, it's possible that the gun could empty before even successfully incapacitating it. The military doctrine drilled into me stresses only committing to a fight when possessing knowledge of the enemy, initiative, and decisive advantage. At this point, I lack all of those. I reached the conclusion that I should conduct a tactical withdrawal. To say I'm retreating sounds much more cowardly. Fortunately, Haverbrook has equipped all of its locker rooms with multiple exits to use in case of an emergency. Although, I hardly think that my situation was considered in their plans. As smoothly and as quietly as I'm able to, I gently close the door, throw the deadbolt, locking it from the inside. I have little hope that flimsy metal door will impede the monster for more than a couple seconds, but I'll take any opportunity to up my odds of survival. My wounds are throbbing uncomfortably. I hobble to the far side of the locker room as quickly as I can and push through it into the emergency exit, ending up in the utility hallway. No alarm sounds. The electricians must have foolishly attached the warning system to the primary power grid, though it's not like anybody would be able to reach me in time anyway. I break into a limping run toward the shining red exit sign that seems impossibly far away. Just as I reach it, I can hear what can only be the sound of a rudely abused deadbolt shearing into 2, and the locker room door being thrown inward off of its hinges. I shove the exit door open, finally reaching the outside of the facility. To my relief, the storm is abated, though in its wake an unnaturally thick and viscous fog has crept in, sinuously enveloping the world in its incredibly dense cloud of white, reducing visibility to little better than nothing. I consider my options. I could try to hide somewhere nearby, but it seems that the creature's tracking me by smell or some other method that would likely find me fairly quickly. This means my best bet is to try to put as much distance as possible between me and it. I glance at my watch to see that it's just now 6:15. If I push myself, I may be able to make the 720 back toward Overbrook. I make my decision. Pain and exhaustion slowly overcoming my rush of adrenaline, I stagger toward the train station. I really fucking hope it's on time. Guys, I really hope you're enjoying this series. We're only part 2. I'm going to try to get at least 2 parts a week out going forward. And like I said, I'm going to really try to just put more effort into this channel. I feel like it deserves it. It's been a wonderful project I've let sit dusty for too long, and I'm feeling it. I want to do more of these. So if you have any story suggestions or anything like that, maybe some Patreon only stuff, we could bring that back. That'd be pretty cool. And speaking of, thank you to the patrons listed down below: Dan R, Lewis G, Paul, Cody, M1A2 Gunner, Pyromancer, the Merchants Guild, Beber, Daneen H, Derek R, Go Cute Puppy LLC, Haden, JY, Maximilian, Mr. Swisston, Pepe, Sarcastic, Chic Ninja, Spino, tguy, Young S, Bobby, Dean, Mr. Misanthropic, Adidas, Nyalla, Paul T, Poonwookie, Shane H, and Tiir. You too can get on this list by joining the Patreon that is listed in the description. You'll get access to a few backlog Patreon-only stories that are only available there. And that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a lovely evening.